Hello, folks. So I'm going to continue the Azure end-to-end test code. Let me share my screen. So yeah, I was just also writing down some ideas for end-to-end tests and peripherals or like tooling around things. So one of the things that I had in mind was like having a report which shows what happened in a given end-to-end test. For example, the steps that happened. For example, let's say you did something or the actions, any actions that you did, and any verifications. For example, you verify if the cluster is running and which actions succeeded and then which failed. For example, you tried to install a package and then it failed, or installed a package and then you were trying to verify if the package is installed or if the package is working correctly, and then the verification failed or the verification passed, and any reason for the failure, so that we can see quickly what's the problem instead of going through the whole full logs. We currently look at the whole set of logs to actually look at what's the problem. For example, let's say we go to AWS and let's say we go to this error, like this problem. We have to look at a lot of logs to actually understand what could have gone wrong, or either there or over here. And actually, you will not even find an answer in the diagnostics data. The answer is over here. The answer is that the gatekeeper installation failed, but you have to actually scroll through this to understand what went wrong and see this red thing. Instead, it would be nice if we have some sort of like visualization or some sort of like metadata to say, hey, these are the 5 steps that were run. Like run management cluster, run workload cluster, install package, verify package, and actually run management cluster, verify management cluster is running, run workload cluster, verify workload cluster is running, and then install or like add package repository, TCE package repository, and then install package. And actually, even after adding package repository, you can verify if the package repository got added and all is good. And then install a package, any package, verify if the package was installed, and then verify if the package is configured and is like running properly, and then delete the workload cluster, check if it's been deleted, delete the management cluster, check if it has been deleted. So these many steps, around some 10 steps I just said, and we can actually see if there is like a, we can actually put out some information in say a JSON and then say these steps happened, these steps didn't happen, and if a step happened, did it succeed or fail? If it failed, what is a short reason for it, so that we can actually understand what is the thing that actually failed, so that we have a good idea of like, okay, hey, this is what failed. The other things were good, and of course, we also do the cleanup as part of the workflow. But let's say if someone actually cancels the workflow in between, let's say just after this gatekeeper installation failed, when it's actually pulling logs and collecting diagnosis logs, someone stops it or cancels it. These clusters, these 2 clusters will not be deleted because these 2 clusters are deleted only as part of this workflow. So I think we'll also have to have a separate service running behind the scenes to actually check if a workflow is running, and probably have names of these clusters based on this workflow name or workflow number, or say this run number, which is unique, and then use that to name the clusters, and then somewhere behind the scenes run a long running service which actually looks for jobs running in GitHub. And then if a job is like cancelled or failed or whatever, or is done running, and if its corresponding cluster is actually running behind the scenes, it should get deleted. Kubernetes apparently has this thing called Boscos, I think, which is a resource management service that provides reservation and lifecycle management of a variety of different kinds of resources. In our case, it's basically cloud resources, like the whole set of cloud resources in AWS, Azure, vSphere. Docker is local, so we can leave that out. And in the future, we can bring in GCP and what DigitalOcean, etc. Whenever we write end-to-end tests for that. So Boscos takes care of, I think, secret management and everything. Like in the, you request it resources and then gives something like that, I guess. I haven't tried this out, but some of my colleagues are trying this out. But as of now, we're just doing very basic stuff for here. But yeah, we could actually do something more advanced than what we're currently doing. And the other idea was to actually pull data from GitHub Actions, which passed, which failed, logs of the failed, ability to grab the logs of failed things and get some data, etc., to understand like similarity between different GitHub Actions, the problems, and get data like number of the tests. So when I say number of the tests, so this is the number 176 in this that, and then name of the test like AWS, Azure, etc., and then URL of the workflow. So the workflow URL is this, and then particular jobs and all are here, and things like that, the steps and etc., etc. So this is just to get some data around any problems that we have in our workflows. But this is a very important thing to actually debug issues quickly with less toil. So I want to actually go ahead and like start writing some code over here for say to create a Azure management cluster and workload cluster and test it out. So let me start with some simple stuff. For example, checking required environment variables to run the test. Okay. So maybe let's say check and then check env vars, and let's just say check env vars are defined. Check check required env vars. Yep, are available. Check if required, so that becomes like a sentence. It's pretty big. Check required environment variables is good, I think. You can probably bring this out and say func. And we need to give a list of environment variables for this one. And in our case, it's basically, this is defined over here. We actually have it defined Azure slash, there's a constant list over here. So this is the list. Let's see if we can actually get this right. So Azure, should I say required env vars equal to and common and this and this and see if it works. So it's not a constant. Okay, we can't define a constant like that, but okay. We'll have to do that or probably define it inside over here just like that. It's better, I think. Okay. And does it say declared but not used? Okay, and we can actually use this here. Put in once and check if these env vars are there. So index comma value env var range required env vars, and then queries dot lookup, I think. So lookup gives retrieves the value of the environment variable named by the key. If the variable is present in the environment, the value which may be empty is returned. So when the boolean is true, otherwise the return value will be entered in the boolean false. So we can actually know if it is actually there or not using this boolean. So we can ignore the first one and we can say available is present or something like that, is defined, say. So actually we don't even want empty actually, but it's okay. I think for now we'll just say defined. We'll probably actually add it to do. We also error out when the env var value is empty. Is defined but empty. So if is not defined, then we can actually create errors. So I can say errors, and then make, and then system so yeah, we can actually give the maximum number of this is we can give string and then say 0 comma len of required inverse and say errors equal to empty dot error and it returns an error. Okay, so we can actually even have error. Okay, and return a list of errors. That works. And errors of say 0 dot would have this error function. Cool. So fmt error, and then we'll say so you have to actually look up this envvars. I'll just look up that in this time. So we'll say percentage s is environment variable slash environment variable, maybe I can put in brackets, is not defined, is required but not defined, and then that's it. And then we can finally return errors. Cool. And here I can actually say so errors if len of errors is not equal to 0, then I can just print it. Empty dot print errors dot. I probably have actually easily define these. Anyways, for now I'm just gonna go ahead and print it like this, right? Yeah, errors and then fatal errors, and then I think this should be fatal log dot fatal, right? Log dot fatal. Okay, cool. So let's run this out and see how that works. Cool. And if I do go test this, so it says error format reads arg1, but call has zeros 5228, 52. Sorry. I have to actually put the AMD bar name of yours. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So it says a non-variable Azure client ID is required but not defined, and then there's no comma over here, but it says all of these are not defined and required but not defined. And then it fails. Awesome. So let's just define some dummy values and see how that goes. I'll define one for Azure. I'll put some .env file maybe, and define some things over here, and put it in .gitignore. Okay, we don't have a .gitignore, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add that. Ignore .env, and I'm gonna add this and say export dummy. I'm just gonna put some dummy values for now, and let's just get all of these. Okay. Cool. 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 Dummy. Just gonna put some dummy values over here, and then I'm gonna. This is shell script, and then I need to go. Okay, so source.env, and I can see that Azure client ID would be set for me. And now if I actually do go test, all is good. Awesome. So now I have a basic feature to actually get all the environment variables that I need. So let's get that in. Check for required envs and fail when they are not present. Cool, awesome. So that's cool. I'm gonna push that out, and I'll stop this sharing, and I'll do a video another time, and I have to go. Bye.